How are we? This is Chat UTD. This is a Man United channel, it's not a Man City channel, but Guardiola is leaving Man City, and I think that will have a ripple effect on everyone, but I think it's worth looking at what impact that can have on United, symbolically and literally, and the knock-on effects of that. First and foremost, that they built their whole club around him, and he's been there for 10 years. Don't think they've finished outside of the top two more than once. Maybe twice they finished outside the top two. They've won, I think, 7 titles under him. So him leaving leaves a massive void for them, and I think and hope that they will struggle. And what that means is a team that is automatically taking up one of the top 3 places potentially won't be anymore. And that leaves an opportunity there for United. One of my other observations is that if you look at the top 3 and the managers that the top 3 clubs going into next season will have, it's quite interesting. Arsenal got Arteta, it's his first job. I know he's experienced, he's been there for a long time, but still, he's had one job in football. Maresca at City this is his 3rd job. A year in the Championship with Leicester, he did well, I think they won the league. A year and a half at Chelsea, mixed bag, but did pretty well. And then obviously City. And then United, obviously with Carrick. Look at Liverpool. Arne Slot, if he's still the manager next season, was at Feyenoord before Liverpool. So you wouldn't look at any of them and say they've got any wow factor about them. And obviously what I talk about is United-centric. It's a United channel. I'm a Man United fan. But it's useful sometimes to just take that little step back and look at the perspective. I've sort of spoke about me wanting the club to do a proper, thorough process with the manager, and I stand by that. The fact we've arrived at Carrick is probably divides opinion because of maybe his lack of credentials. But when you look at those others at the top, you know, the world of football's changing. Pedigree managers, there's not as many of them out there anymore, and it is interesting just to look at that. The difference, of course, is that if you look at Arsenal and City, their structures around them are better. They have key people in key positions, which are absolute top draw. And in City's case, they've got owners that have cheated to get money into the club and probably continue to do so. And in Arsenal's case, you've got a football board that is relentless in pursuit of success. And we don't have a board or an ownership that are particularly hungry for success, and they lack the competence to do it. And therein lies the biggest issue. But what a chance. What a chance for United this summer. I said that before I even knew what was happening with Guardiola. I said there's an opportunity here because Arsenal and City aren't that good. If you ask me, I think if we spend £300 million strategically this summer, I think we're back in the hunt. And I know that sounds so crude in a way when you look at how the world is struggling. You say, I'll just spend 300 million quid, but that's football. It almost has this sub-existence, doesn't it? And a different reality. But if we spend 300 million quid strategically, I think we're in business. And I'll map it out. Let's go as high as 80 million pound for a midfielder, 40 for another one, and 30 or 40 for another one. So essentially you spend 150, 160 to get 3 midfielders in. A left back and a right back, I think you're probably looking at maybe another 60, which takes it to 220. And a backup striker. In fact, you're getting change out of 300 million. You don't need to spend 80 million on a backup striker. You could spend 30 million. It's 250, actually. You could spend between 250 and 270. You strategically get 3 midfielders, 2 fullbacks and a backup striker. We need more than that. But in this league, with the context as is, with Guardiola leaving, if you get the right players in to spend that the right personnel in with that amount of money and with that amount of players, I think we've got a chance. And you'll never have a better opportunity. When I look back, we've never had this opportunity. When you look back at Prime City with Pep, with Prime Liverpool with Klopp, even in seasons where we might have finished above Liverpool here or there, we were never close, really. Not in terms of sustainably close. They look streets ahead of us, those two. And as I've said previously, City right now with Guardiola don't look that good. Arsenal don't look that good. So this is an opportunity for us. But do the board have the minerals? Do they have the appetite? Do they have the competence to go and get this done? I doubt it, unfortunately. But the opportunity is there. And I think we could talk about Tonali, you could talk about a number of different players, but let's talk about Elliot Anderson because he's the one on everyone's lips at the moment. If you said to Elliot Anderson a couple of weeks ago, you've got the option of City with all they've done and all what they probably will continue to do, and they've got Pep Guardiola as their manager, or Man United with a fallen giant status and Michael Carrick is their manager, it's not even a conversation. He's going to City. But you ask him now and say, you've got Maresca or Carrick, I think that changes. And what I'd say is, I don't know how it works in football now, who speaks to who. But if we get a chance to speak to Elliot Anderson himself, don't send Jason Wilcox. Send Vavell, who seems to have a bit of something about him, and send Michael Carrick. Because Michael Carrick was a midfielder for Manchester United and speaks very well about the subject of Manchester United and speaks very passionately about it, and he's the manager. Don't send Jason Wilcox. If we want to do this, we've got the chance to do it. But these ridiculous parameters that United have got in place will probably scupper the deal. The parameters are, got to be Premier League proven, with it most anyway, not every single signing, but got to be Premier League proven, got to be under the age of 26, and we don't want to spend silly money on wages and transfer fees. Well, Elliot Anderson ticks every box. He's Premier League proven. We've wanted him for a year based on his performances last season, and he's continued to be really consistent this season. He's well under 26. And the money that we will need to pay for him, whatever it is, will be the market value. It's not silly money. It won't be silly wages because everyone else would pay that as well who wants him. It's silly if only you are prepared to do it. But that's the bit, for me, where we'll walk away from it, where they go, it's too expensive. You can't win like that. Nothing would please me more, by the way, than the season ends and next week, on Monday, we get an announcement that we've signed Elliot Anderson. It sends a massive statement out. We've beaten City to a signature, albeit in different circumstances because Pep's leaving. But it starts your summer off with a bang before the World Cup if you get Elliot Anderson in. But if you continually almost find reasons not to sign top players, Tonali, too expensive, Bruno Guimaraes, too old, Stiller plays in a different league. There's all different reasons, it seems, to not sign players. If you keep finding reasons to not sign top players that other clubs want, then those other clubs will get them. We're not improving our team and they're improving their team and we're already further behind, so it's not going to work, is it? If you really truly want to win, and I doubt whether this board does truly want to win, but if it does, then go and prove it. Because if you spend, let's say you spend 60 million quid more this summer than you were planning on spending, but in 2 years' time you're champions, is it worth it? Yeah, because I'll tell you, if United at any point in the near future win the Premier League, one of two things will happen. It'll either be a flash in the pan one-off season where it's a fluke, or more likely, even if it's an opportunistic season where we just happen to fall upon the right concoction of players and manager and the rest of the league's rubbish, whatever. If we win the league, that will be like turning the Titanic around. And once you turn this around, we will be like an absolute freight train, a juggernaut. We're a behemoth of a football club. And if you get momentum on your side with the size of club that we are, the rest does itself. You still have to make good decisions, of course you do. You still have to guide it. But you get United turned in the right direction, you're onto something. Because, Jesus, under Ten Hag, we finished third. There was talk of the Glazers leaving around that time. I remember we beat Arsenal 3-1 that season. There was 6,000 fans still in the ground singing Roy Keane's name after the post-match, like in euphoric mood because we beat Arsenal 3-1 and we were climbed up to like 4th in the table or something like that. Imagine if we win it. Now, football comparative to when I grew up, I'm sorry, I'm going to sound like a right old fuddy-duddy. It's crap. It's not the same. It's sterile. It's sanitised. It doesn't have that rawness to it. I'm so blessed to have watched football in the era that I grew up watching it, where you had loads of access to it because of TV, but you still had that fan culture. You still had those characters. You still had those mavericks. There was a rawness to it. There was an edge to it. There was that tribalism to it. It was brilliant, and it isn't like that now. But I support Man United regardless, and if you give me the choice in this sterile, sanitised version of the game, do I want my team to win the league? Absolutely, I want them to win the league. Would it be the same as it used to be? No, but I'd like to see. I'd like to find out for myself. So my plea to this board, and it might not necessarily be Elliot Anderson, loosen your parameters. Look at it from a football perspective. What does this team and this squad need? Go and get it. Because if you do, we have a great chance here within the next 2 years to achieve what seemed like the most ridiculous of ambitions when you first came in, of winning the league in 2028. Something I've said is complete cloud cuckoo land. I believe it is cloud cuckoo land because you won't do what's needed to make it happen. Prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. Show you want it. Show some appetite. And go and get it done. Go and get some signings over the line. And let's take advantage of the opportunity. Because what I don't want is in 5 years' time, when all of the 115 charges, all of the consequences of that will be done and dusted, and sort of be right back where they were, I'm sure, in terms of back to where we are now, pretty much, roughly. Other teams will have emerged. There'll be some hip coach that's come in and for one of the big boys, and they'll be, you know, almost untouchable like Pep was, and they probably won't manage us. And we might look back and go, remember that opportunity 5 years ago, and somewhere Pep left and the other teams around us weren't that great anyway. Shame we didn't do something about that, wasn't it? And unfortunately, I think that's what will happen. But as I say, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Glazers out.